Derivatives trading involves substantial risk of loss and is not suitable for all investors. Past performance is not necessarily indicative of future results.
So stressful when the world's on fire. Good God. I can't look at this, guys. Like, my strategy is you buy it and you hope that you got a good spot. Yeah, but we all think you're crazy. You don't fight this. No way. The markets are freaking out and you don't think that anything is wrong? Come back tomorrow and I'll lose it all. Should be fun. Good morning, everybody. It is the 5th of November. The contested election goes on. They are still counting votes, and I have no clue who is going to win, although the consensus is that it will be Biden. In the meantime, we've got jobless claims today and an FOMC meeting, so we got plenty for the markets to digest, and Bitcoin is taking a bit of a run. We'll talk about that last, though. Let's get to the volume profile charts, and we'll look over here. So overnight, good little move up in the E-mini. I mean, it was a pretty strong rally yesterday, and I think that this is just a continuation. Now we're to 3,500. Can they move higher? I don't know. That's going to be a tough one. Let's check here in the treasuries. Treasuries continuing their run up, and the lower interest rates is definitely good for equities, but they are kind of taking a little break there. Yeah. Oil still within its range, not really moving. Gold, though, it's risk on again, apparently. I don't really see any significant reason for gold to be moving at the time, but I guess it's about time that they tried making a bull run after all this stuff, right? Copper is moving up a little bit too. So, they come in here on the dollar. The dollar is getting creamed here, and I think that this is largely because they expect the Federal Reserve to be continue to be dovish. I don't know. Like, the whole thing here is we got a Federal Reserve meeting today. Is the Fed going to be dovish? And they say that we need more monetary support. And I just think that it was like, you never, how can you be super dovish when we're at all-time highs? So I don't know. Okay, so now Bitcoin. Oh, I can see Jay Constant. You were wrong? No, I was not wrong about Bitcoin at all. So when we were looking at Bitcoin, I have an indicator that says when Bitcoin is overbought or oversold, and we never got to an oversold condition. So I just didn't take a trade. That's not necessarily wrong, right? Now in Bitcoin, and I would also add that after, where was it? I can't even remember. Like, when we were in here, I was like, okay, there's like a potential for it to collapse again. And it didn't do it. And then once we got to about this part, it was like, okay, they're going to do the year-end rally. So I'm very careful to not make like direct calls in Bitcoin, because I know that you can't really predict it. Like, I'm not like a whale, and there's really just kind of depends on what the whales want to do. It doesn't, I mean, it should follow market fundamentals, but the reality is that it's just a very immature market. So, on this one in Bitcoin, I would expect, I mean, they're at 1,500. That is quite overbought. But the tendency for Bitcoin is that they do tend to go a little bit further, right? So I would be watching it. If I had a position in Bitcoin, I would be watching it, and I would definitely be looking for a spot to take profits. Is that spot 1,500? I mean, it could be, but historically they tend to go further. So, it's a tough call. I mean, that's what makes Bitcoin really, really tough. For me, anything above 1,600, I would be for sure out, right? Once we get to 1,600, Bitcoin is then at a historical high for price compared to network transactions. And there is absolutely no justification for it to be that high. There is a lot of things that has kind of pushed it to this place, but the reality is that the movement that we're seeing is based largely on sentiment. That there is a group of people that are in Bitcoin and they just want to be in it, you know. Okay, so we got some news coming in here. We got to pay attention to this. Maybe I get back to that. Okay. So the forecast is a little bit higher than expected, but market's not really reacting to that. Let's see here. 4-week average higher than expected, 780. No, actually about on 787 versus a previous of 787. So it looks to me like things didn't necessarily get worse this week. It's just kind of flat. Anyways, what was I saying about Bitcoin? Oh yeah. So the thing is that the group of people that are in the Bitcoin ecosystem that are buying Bitcoin, using it, investing it, whatever, has not really increased. They're just willing to pay more for it. And I'm sure that there's probably a lot of money still coming in from, like Tether and things like that. So here you have a situation where, again, they're going to try and push it as far as they can. They're almost sure to want to try and get it above 20,000, right? Because that would be a new all-time high. If they don't get it to 20,000 and it collapses again, that would be really devastating to the coin, right? So, but it's going to be super hard to get it there, right? So I will see what happens. But at 16,000, that is then the highest level they've ever. That is the most overbought it has ever been, right? Compared to the network transactions. That means that it is higher compared to the network transactions than it was at the peak of the Mt. Gox crash, at the peak of the 2017 crash. So, yeah, I'm not saying that you can't be in Bitcoin right now, but I would be looking for my stop, right? I would be planning my exit over there. And will we ever get an oversold condition? I don't know. Maybe the reality is that there's just too much public hype around it that you're never going to get that condition again. There was kind of a condition that you could have taken if you were really what is the word? They never got to the condition that I would really like to see where I think it was a real steal, But there was a low, relatively reasonable valuation at 6,000 that you could have taken, I guess. So, and you would have doubled your money. That wouldn't have been too bad. So that's Bitcoin. But yeah, and another thing, remember that they tend to move around this time of year, right? They tend to move up, and then everybody takes their profits before Christmas, and then we go through the cold, dark winter. Okay, so with the jobless claims not really doing anything for us, I got to check here for what else we got going on. $92.58. What about the spread? I see a little bit of steepening. Little bit of steep. Microtoon says 1,000. I don't know what you mean. And I guess the other thing is that I would say is that the Attorney General thing's still not. Like, I have a really hard time getting in on that. Well, the whole Tether New York Attorney General thing is still outstanding. What do you think about Trump 3.5 to 1? I'm not sure what you mean by 3.5 to 1. Yeah, I haven't looked at the results. Biden campaign gears up for legal warfare as he nears 270. One of the issues I'm seeing is that they're saying that Joe Biden is almost to 270, but that is still with Arizona outstanding and a bunch of people saying that Trump could win Arizona and saying that that one should be rescinded. So that one's really, really interesting. 350 American odds. Well, the betting sites are probably saying that Donald Trump is very unlikely to win at this point. I don't know. Like, I mean, here's the only thing that I can really do is, we can come in here and we can look at this and we can say, okay, so if Donald Trump takes Pennsylvania and he takes Arizona, then he wins. Okay. He has been ahead in the Pennsylvania count. I don't know. That still hasn't flipped. So I don't know. Now if Joe Biden keeps Arizona, then he gets 270. But that would be, man, I got to tell you, that would be like really the worst case scenario. Biden wins only for 270. I wonder if Donald Trump would try and run again after that. It's a hard call. I don't think you would, because I think that you'd have to say, oh, well, look, the only reason Joe got so close was because you were so unpopular. But just assume that every ballot from this, well, but that's not what's happening in Arizona, right? The ballots that are coming in Arizona are like 2-1 for Trump. So in Pennsylvania, that might be true. But in Pennsylvania, there's all these court cases and stuff. That's where it's like, look, here's the thing. Here's what I'm gonna say about the election. At this point, okay, humans have a tendency to get ahead of themselves. We all do that, right? We want to make the call before we really have the information that we need to make that call, because we know that being first is where you're going to get the reward. So we think if I'm the first person to predict that who the winner is going to be, that makes me smarter, more intelligent than everybody else. And so they're always trying to call it too early. And the other thing is that we have a tendency to overvalue information, particularly recent stuff, right? So, what happens is you get a piece of information comes in and you have the whole country watching this and over extrapolating every tiny little thing that happens. Well, I have absolutely no ability to be able to tell who it's going to be any better than anybody else. I mean, if they say it's going to be Biden, then who am I to argue with them? I don't know if that's a place where I can find edge. You know what I mean? So in that case, I think that it's a lot better for us to just kind of experience it, right? Like, I think people get this idea that if I care about, the more I care about the result of the count, the more likely it is to go my way or something like that. But it doesn't work like that. Like, even these guys, they're like out at the voting centers, like protesting and stuff. And listen, there absolutely should be, you're supposed to have a Republican representative there at every table to supervise the count and make sure that people aren't cheating. And there is significant evidence that there can be potential fraud that needs to be investigated, and they should do that. But here's the thing, like, if you have such evidence like that, you give it to the Trump campaign and they have lawyers and they're spending like a ton of money to look into this stuff. It's not something that you have to worry about, right? So for us, the thing that we should be doing is just experiencing it, right? It just kind of take in the feeling of being in a contested election and being in this historic moment and watching what people do. I think you're going to learn a lot about people and the way that the world works just from being really what is the word, present. There's a psychology word for it, but I can't even remember. But so just feel it. Don't be trying to get ahead of it. Now, at the same time, I totally understand. Y'all are like desperate for more information and to talk about it. I get it. You're right.
Enact Selfer says Nevada seems the closest for me, honestly. If any shouldn't have been called, it's that one, and if it wasn't for Joe Lol, it would have probably gone Trump.
Nevada. Yeah, I don't know what Nevada's going to go. Well, here's the thing. I think Nevada used to be a Republican state, and it has been trending Democrat for a long time. We got a real problem out here in the West. Okay. Because what's happening is these people in California, the cost of living over there is so high that they can, work here for a while, make tons of money, and then, move out west. And so you can kind of see how they've just kind of slowly been spreading, right? Now they're taking New Mexico, Colorado. Now the firewall is the Mormons. Us here in Idaho and Utah and Wyoming, right? That's a great firewall. That and Kansas, because really, like, between like Denver is over here and Kansas City is over here, so you've got to realize that this right here is like no man's land. Nobody lives there. So that, that kind of prevents the spread too. But it's spreading. So this whole thing, like, everybody talks about a civil war in the United States, and I'm like, oh hell no, because you know who would be in the smack dab middle of a civil war? Utah, right? Like, we control all of this water. All of this water comes through here into California. Yeah, and if there was like a civil war, the first thing that they would be doing is securing their water in Utah, occupying Utah. And I don't know if the people in Utah would go along with it or not. I don't think that they're as independent minded as everybody thinks, or as conservative as everybody thinks. So, Nevada has been trending blue, and I don't think that the results there really have anything to do with Biden or Trump, and have more to do with the battle between Republicans and Democrats there. And the thing that I keep seeing is that there's kind of a way that Democrats do this. Like, here in Utah, they're doing it. There's this super PAC called a Coalition for a Better Utah, and they present themselves as if they are like a non-partisan PAC. But the reality is that they are like the Democrat super PAC. So they go around and they masquerade as, hey, we're just like the moderate, normal person. And then they're feeding people like this super radical left stuff. And nobody pushes back against it. And so then a lot of people kind of, they discover it and they fall into it. And then once they've like set their ideology in, and then it's finished. And you're kind of seeing this thing where, like, the Democrats are doing it and the Republicans aren't fighting back, and so those places slowly turn blue. And you're kind of seeing it in Utah, like the kids and stuff in Utah, they're falling for it. So yeah, you're seeing it in Nevada, and I wouldn't be surprised if in 10 years Utah could be a swing state too. And then the battleground would be Idaho. Not that, yeah, Doozy says there's not going to be any civil wars. No, it would take a lot more than what we got, that's for sure. In hindsight, Bitcoin is easier than QQQ. I don't know. You go and try scalping Bitcoin for a week and then tell me how it goes. I tell you, I've never tried like day trading Bitcoin, but I will look at that chart every day. I pay quite a bit of attention to how it's moving and where it's going. I write a note about it every day for Patreon. And yeah, it's got some random movement, man, dude. Like, it's really like the problem in Bitcoin with market making Bitcoin is that you can have a move come in out of nowhere that is just way further than anything you can handle. And there's not going to be any warning because it's just such a manipulated market. like, why did it say that I got logged out? But I think that means that I didn't close my other version for the thing. I'm still getting the data.
James Rice says one thing first know for sure about election. It's not looking good for Kanye right now.
Right? So disappointing, right? Really thought he stood a chance.
Uzi Knesset says we took the first step here in FL to becoming a derelict blue state. Jacking up the minimum wage to $15 an hour as COVID destroys the job market in a state where service is like 95% of the pie.
I don't think that the minimum wage really has a super big impact on the partisanness, if that makes sense. Like every state raises the minimum wage, and yeah, some are like more aggressive than others, but there's a lot of Republicans that think that the minimum wage should be increased too. This is where I would really like to see a place let's get rid of the federal minimum wage because every state has a minimum wage. And then let's have a state that doesn't have a minimum wage and see what happens. So there's no comparison. There's nowhere to compare it. And I feel like that there are jobs out there where we'd pay people less. That people would be willing to do. I don't know if that makes sense, but I feel like that some jobs are priced out of the market. Have you stopped to reflect on the words you use? They us battle very well. There's absolutely nothing strange about that, my friend. Okay, you are in a battle for the ideology of this country. There are people that want this country to be a communist state. There are people that would think that if you voted for Donald Trump, that you should be sent to an education camp. And I know that sounds like really extreme, but I read this shit every day. I read a lot of social media and I read a lot of Reddit. There are real crazies out there, and they're not just like one or two guys. It's actually a significant number of people out there. And yeah, you are 100% in a battle of ideology for them. This whole thing, I was watching that thing with Joe Biden yesterday when he came out, kind of trying to claim the Met, because there's this whole thing. People care way too much. At this moment, I think people care way too much about the message, the narrative. So there's this whole thing like, Joe Biden actually is president, and then Donald Trump's going to steal it from him, and they care about that. Like Steve Bannon yesterday was all talking about that. Doesn't effing matter. It just doesn't matter. But here's Joe Biden's out, and he's like, I'm going to be for all Americans and this and that. And then they're like, okay, yeah. You come and tell us that when you literally open up the borders and let everybody across and flood the country with millions upon millions of new immigrants. Because, like, honestly, we're talking about a situation where, like, 50% of the South American population is going to try and come up here. That might sound extremist. That's what's going to happen. Okay. Based on the policies that Joe Biden wants to put in place. Sounds very extremist. You have never seen a communist in your life? You are wrong, Plan B. I see communists all the time. And I'm not just saying like, I'm saying they're a communist. No, I mean like they're carrying around flags and they've got the sickle and hammer and they're proud about it. I have friends on my Facebook feed that I monitor that are avowed communists. I'm telling you, I see this stuff every day. Biden won't cut New York City be writing, and Republican Senate won't let him raise taxes. That's why QQ looks good. Well, I think you're probably right, Len. Are you not being a wee bit? So, are you talking about on the border? Like, listen. Here's the thing. Let's go into this. what is the actual impact of a Joe Biden presidency. Okay, because the Republicans do control the Senate. So they're not going to let him raise taxes. I know that was the main thing that everybody was concerned about, okay? But now that you have a Republican Senate, what is the actual impact, okay? So I made a TikTok about this the other day, but there are 5 things that Joe Biden can do as president with executive orders that he will do that will have very clear and direct consequences for everyone, all right? And the first one is immigration. He has stated that he wants to change the asylum rules, he wants to change the stay in Mexico policy, and he wants to change the way that whole court system works. And the end result of that is going to be that you are going to be able to claim asylum just because you are poor. There will not be a person in South America that will not be able to claim asylum. And that means that it will be complete and open immigration into the United States. Anybody that wants to come will be able to come in. There's going to be some question about whether they will be able to stay, but they are all going to come. It is going to be a flood. There will be a border crisis without parallel. If you thought that what happened when it was Obama and the whole DACA flood that came over, or the flood that tried to come over when they changed the court rules with Donald Trump, you ain't seen nothing yet. There is going to be a flood across the border in March of this year if Joe Biden really becomes president that is just going to blow your mind. You say that that's extreme now, I'm going to shove it down your guys' throat in March, because there is 100% chance that this is what's going to happen. He's stated what the policy is. They're 100% committed to it. And we 100% know what's going to happen from that policy. Okay, so that's the first thing that you should know about a Joe Biden presidency is that there will be a border crisis. Yeah, you can trade that. You could trade that right now, like straight up. Yeah. Okay. The second one is that Joe Biden is going to basically undo all of the progress that Donald Trump has made in standing up to China. Okay, so all of this stuff about competing with China and losing jobs to China, and frankly, all of this stuff with Hong Kong and Taiwan. You think that that Joe Biden is going to? I don't think that Joe Biden is going to continue to support Taiwan and be, adding to their military and helping them to protect themselves. It may well be the case that during a Biden presidency that Taiwan goes. That's a little bit extreme. But the thing that you can bank on is that there's not going to be any tariffs against China and that people will continue to ship jobs overseas. That's number 2. All right. Number 3 is that Joe Biden has stated that if the experts say that we should shut down, that he will shut down. Well, I'll tell you, the experts are already saying that we should shut down. All right. And it's already happening in Europe. I don't know if it will still be a thing when Joe Biden gets, if Joe Biden gets sworn in. But if it is still a thing when Joe Biden gets sworn in, you can pretty much bet that there will be another shutdown. Okay? And I don't have to go into what the effects of that are. You all know. You all know that one. Okay? Number 4. Joe Biden will enact executive action on gun control. So there are a number of things that he could probably do, including increased background checks, bans against certain kinds of firearms, some sort of pseudo assault weapon ban. So I don't think that would be like the end of your gun rights in America. But if you're in favor of gun rights at all, you're going to be extremely upset by what Joe Biden is going to do. Right? That was 5, right? Insular and isolationist policy. This is just nonsense, Plan B. There's this whole thing to try and label somebody as an autocratic and dictatorial government by making some sort of random association. But the reality is that you still have a democracy in the United States, that Donald Trump pushed in every opportunity that he had states' rights over federal rights. And the proposition that he is some sort of autocratic dictator is absolutely ridiculous. And if you believe that, then you have been fed a load of bullshit and you ate it full on. Mm-mm-mm-mm. The one that's going to be called a dictator is going to be Joe Biden when he tries to force a federal shutdown. If coronavirus is still a thing in February, do you think coronavirus will still be a thing in February? I would be concerned. Let's read comments about all this. On one hand, it's unnerving, mass poverty, migration. On the other, as a business owner, cheap, under the table labor. Well, it's, especially for those people in, like, I was talking to people in Arizona, and they're like, I was saying, this is what's going to happen if Joe Biden becomes president. And they're like, oh, no, it's not going to be that extreme. I was like, do you not believe him at his word? Like, come on. Do you not remember 3 years ago how big of a deal that was? It's going to be 10 times worse. Because now you're going to have a president that's basically saying, all right, everybody come on in now. Yeah, they're all going to come. And the more people that come, the more news it's going to generate and the more people it's going to attract. Now, my voice sounds a little raspy, even though I don't feel sick at all or anything. People who don't, I'm a sad little man. Why? Because I understand the impacts from policies. Listen, I'm sharing with you information that you can trade. If you want to do business with Taiwan and Joe Biden becomes president, I would rethink that. Seriously. Did I do 5? Let's see here. Immigration, China, coronavirus, shutdown. No, I just said that. Guns. Yeah, so here's the other one that I would trade off of it is gun stocks. Because there's going to be, I mean, there already has been, but it's going to become even more desperate. There are going to be people that are going to be trying to get these guns. I would expect gun stocks to do quite well in the next few months. Oh yeah, there's a fifth one, and that is business regulations. So when Obama became president, there was a significant decline in the S&P 500, starting from the day that he became president. And it was basically like every day the administration would come up, try and talk up the market, and the markets would sell on them. And then one day they finally said, okay, we're just going to shut up and not do anything. And then that was the day that it turned. That was the low in 2009. And it was because they were pushing all of these regulations. And I would expect that all of the regulations that were put in place under Obama that Donald Trump rescinded and caused a significant portion of the stock market rise when Donald Trump first became president will come in. So, I would be looking at that too. I would be looking at what are regulations that Donald Trump rescinded. What are regulations that Obama put in that Donald Trump rescinded that helped companies? And then I would be shorting those companies because Joe Biden is going to put those back in place and then some, probably. So that's the fifth one, right? So I'm giving you 5 things. These are not extreme things, guys. This is what Joe Biden said he would do on day 1. And these are things that he has 100% the power to do. These are things that if he doesn't do, he would have like absolutely nobody would be able to take him seriously anymore. because they would be things that he said he was going to do, on day one, and he has the power to do on his own. Right? And these are things that we can make pretty clear conclusions about how they're going to affect the market and how they're going to affect you, because these are all things that affect everybody in the country as well. Yeah. Since when has that stopped in a politician? That's true, but I really think he's going to do it. I really think he's going to do it. Quick question: are you full time? I'm a part time trader. So I tell you what, I'm really skeptical, I guess, about these people. Well, I don't want to say skeptical. Like, let me put it a different way. The full-time trader is an equity guy thing. Okay, like if you're a futures trader, you want to be in when the market is making the move in the morning, until like the London close, and then you go home for the day. It's the equity traders that have to wait until the end of the day and nurse their positions for their options to expire or whatever earnings or news that they're playing. You know, that's for futures. It doesn't make sense. It's also a lot more difficult. Sorry, it's a lot more difficult to find edge in futures because it's a zero sum game. So, to really be making consistent income, trading futures enough that it's your full time job is really quite rare. And I've only met like 2 or 3 guys that are actually doing that. So, and I'm not. Sometimes I do well and sometimes I don't, but it is certainly not even close to enough to be a full time job. Bum, 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 bum. There's air cages too. It's funny. It was like the Bitcoin price comes up and all of the Bitcoin people come out of the woodwork. If Joe implements a mandatory federal lockdown, yeah, I don't know what the Dow is, man. Why would you use the Dow number? It drives me nuts when you guys use the Dow or the Nasdaq prices. It's like S&P 500 is, if you're looking for like a judge of the economy, I think you should be using the S&P 500 or the Russell. But hmm. Air Cages says I'm here because of the election, but I have bought more. You've bought more since yesterday, man. I have a whisker here that's like too long. I need to deal with it. It's driving me crazy. Biden already conceded he knows he can't even implement a mask mandate. Yeah, no, that's an interesting point, Uzi, because the whole thing is that they want a federal lockdown, but you really can't do it. That doesn't mean that they're not going to try or that they're going to. I mean, at the very least, I think that you would come out and you would say the guideline is we think that you should all do it. No, so it's crazy to me that you buy more, but I guess if you're just trading it, I have to say, like when I look at my thing, let's see if it'll show me for today or not. think I think that today I should have an update. Doesn't update every day is the thing. One of the data sources that I use doesn't update every day, so I don't necessarily have a new chart every day, even though I post it every day. Uh, Trying to develop a system on RTY. Okay, let's see here. Now, the last price that I got was actually the first. Again, I'm going to have to calculate it now. Um, $188. Yeah, 188 is where my oscillator is right now. That is the highest that I think I've seen in person, but the highest that it's ever been is like over 200. So okay, so let me answer Lobo Trader's question here. He's asking for slippage. Slippage seems to kill me. Well, so first of all, with the way that it's been moving this week, yeah, you're probably going to get a lot of slippage. I mean, the thing is you can look at it and be like, okay, how much volume do we tend to have during like one bar, and how much liquidity are they putting up right now, right? So when they're putting up 20, 20 on the E-mini, you're gonna get slippage, and you could probably slip 8 ticks in a situation like this, and you're probably gonna have to factor that in. That's why a lot of strategies that I see people do, where they're taking a really really tiny profit compared to like a really huge stop. That's one of the places where I'm like, okay, yeah, but you're gonna have this period where you don't win as often, and the percentage win rate really goes down, and then you add the slippage and commissions on top of that, you can get destroyed awfully fast. Happens. And RTY is going to be a thinner instrument too, but I don't know. There's a lot of advantages to liquidity, guys. I think that a lot of retail traders get attracted to the thin instruments because they tend to move more, and so they think there's more profit potential in them. And they don't understand the benefits where liquidity can protect you from losses. Is it too early to say that Trump has lost the election? I don't know. I can't say that he's lost the election, but a lot of people seem to think that he has. So. I had a 12 tick slippage and on top of a 15 tick loss. Oh, geez, yeah. Well, in another market, that would probably be a lot less common. So that's all I can say about it. But, you're going to want to have enough uh, profit in your system, or sorry, enough edge in your system so that when you get into a period where that sort of thing is happening, it doesn't destroy you. Right? Okay, now Dan asks, how is the new version of Jigsaw? So the footprint charts are okay. There's a couple of features missing from the big one is the ability to aggregate prices. Until I can aggregate like 4 ticks into 1 tick, I really can't use it on the E-mini, so I don't find it too useful. And they don't have different time periods. So like I would really like to use Jigsaw with like a one range chart and with being able to show the level 2 things on it and everything else like that. So I'd say that the new version of Jigsaw is really great, and it can be used as a just on its own now, and that's really good for them. A lot of people, like Ace would be a good candidate, right? I think that Ace probably, I don't know if Ace paid for Ninja Trader or not, but if he was looking for a new platform, Jigsaw is a little bit cheaper, and it has everything that he needs in it, and it has really great execution on his DOM. So, you have to pay a monthly fee for to trade live with the Jigsaw. That's the downside, but I think it's a really good step for them. But the charting tools that they have, they're not better than NinjaTrader, and since I have a lot of indicators and stuff like that, I'm going to continue using NinjaTrader as long as I can. And I've found a pretty funny workaround for how I use them together now. So I used to be running through the bridge, but now what I'm doing is I'm connecting them both through Rhythmic. And I'm actually, so I have a NinjaTrader license, but my NinjaTrader license doesn't allow me to connect to Rhythmic, but the demo license does. So I've just been using the demo license because I'm not executing over on NinjaTrader. Maybe at some point, if I find an algorithm that I really want to trade live, then probably I have to go and make a account over at NinjaTrader or something like that. But that's where I'm going. Like, okay, maybe I can connect directly into Rhythmic Trader Pro, and I can start building stuff off of that. I'm befuddled that Americans would pick a run-of-the-mill politician over citizen. Well, I don't think that that stuff even factors in for most people. It's all about whether or not you like Trump, and a lot of people didn't like Donald Trump's attitude about the virus, and that's why he lost. Well, I'm saying he lost, but that's why he's having a hard time. I was warning about this like weeks before, right? And you know what? It's just it wasn't going to stop him, I guess. And I don't think that any of the Donald Trump supporters believed it. But his attitude on the coronavirus killed his campaign. If he had just like not said anything about the coronavirus for the last 3 months, he would probably be winning. Like straight up. Okay, what broker do you use? I'm using AMP right now. I'm actually saving up. I was saved up to move somewhere else where I needed a little bit more cash to put in. So I don't keep very much in there, And then I made some purchases. Like I got the news squawk. That was a big chunk of change. But I should be able to move over soon. And I'm thinking about going to Edge Clear. I might go to NinjaTrader. Well, I want to try Edge Clear first, but maybe at some point in the future I might have to move from them to NinjaTrader if I want to do some algorithmic stuff. Yeah. I have to say, I really like NinjaTrader as a platform, and I don't think there's anything wrong with them as a broker. I mean, you have to pay the license and everything, but if you got the full license, then the commissions are about the same as everywhere else. So, but it's just kind of annoying that they're basically starting to like lock you in now, you know? But it's okay. I get it. Here you got Donald Trump tweeting here saying stop the count. Why? What the hell is wrong with him? My gosh. Okay. Because if you say stop the count, then Democrats are going to turn around and saying he's trying to prevent the democratic process. He should be saying until we are allowed to have our poll watchers there, they should stop counting. This is like a terrible message. Is the thing that's because I'm a Republican. If Donald Trump wins, the thing that's going to be sad about it is that it ain't going to be anybody to blame but him. Because I think that he did a lot of effective things while he was in office, and I think that there's a pretty good coalition behind him and people and policy and everything else like that. But he just can't help but say stupid shit. Like, stop the count. Okay. Why Edge Clear? So I've been speaking with them. I actually have it here. Here, I'll give you guys the link. I have it here. If you go into Discord, it's there in the announcements channel. But if you sign up for EdgeClear, you can use our link. Now, the link doesn't give you anything. Doesn't like give you a discount or anything like that. But what it does do is it lets them know that I referred you to them. And so if we ever do anything in the future, because I think that we sorry about that. The OBS just like straight up crashed on me again. Wait a little second, make sure that we're all back in. Can you am I back? Am I back? You still there? Cool. All right. Anyways, so if you use that link, what it will do is it will say that I referred you. And then if we ever do a promotion with them in the future where we create a pool, which would be like a thing where we're in a pool and we have a group commission. So if we trade enough volume, then we get a discount on commissions. So that's the sort of thing that we do in the future. And I also want to do something in the future where we can have we can give people permissions in the group to manage risk, so that if you're trading off, if you're on tilt, they can come in and tell you, hey, you know what, you should stop. If you guys want to do that. So that's why I'm interested in EdgeClear. That, and their margins are higher. That's true. Well, they're not. I don't know. Like, here's the thing. Don't pick the broker based on the margin, man. Oh, no, 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 no. The round turns are more expensive. So the round turns, when I last looked at it, were basically the same as AMP and anywhere else. I have not found a place where you're really getting a meaningful discount on your commissions unless you're pushing size. So, but and here's the other thing is you got to remember what the broker does in futures, right? It's not like other markets. The FCM is the one that connects you to the market and your data feed. The futures broker is just an intermediary between them and you, for if you need support. So really, the thing that should really matter the most to you is that you're getting the level of support that you want. Catch my drift? So and that's where I'm like, okay, commissions are about the same as AMP, but I feel like that at EdgeClear, the people understand what's going on better. So I want to try it. Maybe I try them for a while and then I decide to go somewhere else. Who knows? Well, the Treasury has actually traded a pretty good range here now, coming back from the 01 down to 30.5. The E-mini, they got that little dip that some of you guys took a trade off of, but it's still kind of, I'm not entirely sure what it's going to do. Yeah, I think that for them, it's like 125 like everybody else. 120 or something. And then if you get the group discount, we can bring it down to like half that. Which, I don't know. I wouldn't be like a huge difference, but it's a difference. Well, he says that you don't trade MES. This is where the thing that I just don't get is like the commission's not going to be the thing that kills you, man. Especially not on the E-mini. Like, the E-mini moves so far that if the commissions are making a significant impact on your trading, then there's something wrong with your strategy, man. Yeah, you can't trade the ES for 1 or 2 ticks. That's not going to work. Josh says I'm down. Let's move. Yeah, I think it'll happen next year, but James Rice says, then why would floor traders? Let me ask you a question, James, first before we go into that. How much money a month do you make on average from trading futures? How much money did you make this month from trading futures? Right? Did you make $100,000 this year trading futures? Right? Okay. If you're somebody that's turning like 1,000 contracts a day, then yeah, it matters. Okay. But if you're a retail trader that, you know, maybe you're going to make 505, if you're doing well, maybe you make $5,000 a month. Okay. The amount that you're paying on commissions is like so irrelevant. James says, "Wow, that's very personal." I'm just saying, dude. Like, I wasn't saying that because I expected you to tell everybody, but you could be honest with yourselves, right? If most retail traders, if you're trading futures is hard. Okay, you're probably making, if you're consistent, you may make a little bit, but most people are going to have like good months and bad months. And in a year like this, pretty good chance that you lost money this year. Okay. For those people, for the vast, 95%, let's be honest, okay? 95% of the people here are losing money from trading, okay? That's just the statistics. Now, I tend to attract an audience of people that have been in the game longer and are having some success and stick around longer for some reason. Okay, but I don't think that we're immune to the statistics, right? For probably 75% of you guys, the commission that you make is not the big problem, and paying a little bit more for good service from your broker is going to matter at some point. Yeah. There you go. Just go for the broker that has good ratings and works for you with low commissions. Commissions issue self. There you go. And that's where it's just like, and on top of that, they're all basically the same now. I mean, it used to be when I started, like AMP was significantly cheaper than everybody else, but now AMP, Edge, Clear, and uh, Ninja Trader basically all have the same base commission if you're like a new account starting out. Now, if you start pushing size, then you might be able to get something different, and then you can shop around. But if you're just the basic guy, the commission's not the thing that you should be picking your broker on. As long as the commission is reasonable. Don't go and pay $2 per micro contract. That would be dumb. Okay, but if you're trading, if it's less than a tick, you're fine. News says he made 7K this week. Well, it's an election week. I get you. Yeah. They pay for a seat because most edges that actually exist would lose money at retail rates. My average profit and loss per contract is something like $1 per contract before fees. Oh, really? In the E-mini? You're pushing real size then, man. You must be Treasury futures? Wow, really? And are you using a market maker strategy where you're putting contracts at every price and something like that? That sounds to me like a market making strategy where you're taking a lot of transactions and at a lot of prices, and it kind of all comes out positive in the end, but very small, and that's where your commissions really end up mattering, right? Mm-hmm. Kind of wondering with them. They're at 30 now, and then kind of paused. Why Trader says, "What's a market maker strategy?" So when I say a market maker strategy, what I'm suggesting is that he's his DOM would literally look like this, and usually you'll have an algorithm that will kind of tell you where your best bid and offer should be, and if certain things happen, um, the orders will pull for you so that you don't take a big swing against you. And then, you're just sitting there and the whole thing is to get in the queue early. And then, if I take on a contract here at 31.5, then I would have inventory of one short. And then you just manage that inventory, right? And let it, so like here I'm pulling them because I don't want the fill there. Maybe at 139, right? And then if I get filled there, then I want to reduce my inventory and I just take one tick. It's a lot more complicated than that, though. I don't understand. There's a lot of parts about how that works that I don't understand. Yeah. Lewis says, I'm not blessing, just letting you know 29 years of trading was a tough journey. Yeah. Yeah. You get what I'm saying, though, Lewis. I'm not trying to say nobody can make money trading futures. I'm just saying that the people that seem to be the most concerned about what their commission is going to be are the people that have the least reason to be concerned about it, right? If you're somebody that's really been that successful where the commission really matters, then you're just going to call the broker and make a deal with them, right? You have power. The ones that don't have the power are those are the ones that are complaining about the commission, and those are the ones where it matters the least to their strategy. Yeah, it sounds complicated. Dude, do I still have it? I think I saved it on my machine. Um, I have a folder with scholarly article. Yeah, that's this one right here. So here's this. Oh, no, that's not it. This is the practitioner's guide. There's this other one, this scholarly article where they were talking about using stochastic processes to account for clustering effects for market making algorithms. And like I look at the math on it and like I understand all of those math symbols, but trying to turn it into code was like I have no clue what's going on. It was complicated. But the gist of it was basically that given these inputs, it would output to you the correct um, uh, bid and offer price that you should be putting out to maximize your market making. So there's a bunch I don't understand about it, though. Need to learn. Somebody gave me a book, and I went and I got the book, and I haven't read it yet. So, and I think that might teach me some of that stuff. So that's kind of interesting that the treasuries fall back there. Okay, well, we got a minute to the E-mini open. A little bit of clicky there with some offers pulling and stuff. And it does look like they're chomping at the bit to go long on the open. Okay. There they go. I wanted that to be a stop limit order, and it didn't. I'll put one like that if it goes. I think I have to bail on that one. Yeah. Ooh. Okay. Hmm. So two attempts to shove it down there, and it's too sticky at 34.90 so far. Hmm. Okay. Well, that wasn't particularly great, was it? Yeah. I really should have just tried to cancel that one out, but I was like trying to get it out at 5. Because what happened was I thought that they were going to cross the open, and I thought that it was going to put a stop order in for me, and then was like they just only touched that price. So I couldn't have played that worse. Okay, let's see if I get it this time. Okay. Hmm. Still a little flaky. Well, given that we have an FOMC today, we should expect it to be a little bit range bound, but I don't know. They are having a really hard time getting anywhere above the open, that's for sure. Okay. So you see that they kind of pushed the high there again, and they fighting it. Okay. Still pretty tight in here. I mean, bias up, but like the cumulative delta isn't like clearly up yet. They probably need another push or two before it like really becomes obvious that it's a long trend, volume wise. Okay, well that's not bad.
Vlad Stolyarov says I am not sure yet how it will work out.
Yeah, it's hard to make a call. Actually, I should have. I don't know what I was thinking. So I'm gonna put it there. I'm not expecting like a trend day or anything, so I should only be looking for the 16. Treasury getting fallen down here. Okay, cool. Mm-hmm. Actually wondering. I mean, it is up still, but it's just so tight. I'm a little worried about some sort of an exhaustion. You know what I mean? It's 1,000 trading there, just above 34.96. Couple of thousands in that area, and maybe some indications of large orders too. I haven't seen too much on Twitter today about the election yet. I guess we're not going to get much on that front until the afternoon, and everybody's just kind of waiting. Yeah, they're doing okay. They're kind of above that area. There you go. Darn. Okay, hold up. That's not right. Hmm. That was a pretty aggressive stop run, wasn't it? I'm a little weary about trading this now because it looks like the sharks are out there to just sweep you out. They didn't get through the 96 area, though. Quite a bit of fight there.
Vlad Stolyarov says 435. Vlad Stolyarov says parabolic TSLA plus 3.3%.
Yeah, that's not. Got in one there for a second, but didn't see what we wanted, so we got out. Hmm. Wonder if they're gonna go down. Okay, that was a good little swing there. Oh, one in. Nah, Too much clicking. Okay.
Luis Alarid says beginner trader wants to know can one use a Sharpie in trading and what color works best. Vlad Stolyarov says AAPL near 119 pre-market high.
I would not recommend using a Sharpie.
Air Cages says BTC is exploding. What is your indicator showing?
Which one? Oh, my indicator is like 188. So my indicator says that there's a momentum driven bubble. Like I really ask yourself, why is it moving up right now? Well, there was that PayPal thing, which apparently doesn't matter. It's like it's just momentum chasing. So I don't know how far it'll go. I bet you there's probably a little bit more in it.
Air Cages says
I
20K by
don't know.
next week.
I don't know. I mean, if you were gonna follow the model strictly,
Vlad
it's gonna
Stolyarov
say
says no.
that you're probably gonna have a crash before then. But you know
Vlad
they're gonna
Stolyarov
push
says
for
it's
it, right?
overbought now.
You know they're gonna push for it, right? That's where it's like if I was in, I think you could maybe have taken some profits and then having some to see if they go for it. But I don't think you want to get in right now. You know?
Air Cages says bubbles are always overbought though.
Yeah. Because what you're getting now is you getting all of the people FOMOing in at the end.
Vlad Stolyarov says remember bears in Google. Now Google new time highs.
Are they at new all-time highs? Where's
Vlad Stolyarov says 1773.
Amazon been since those earnings and everything? That was all kind of a crazy thing, wasn't it? But I really think that Bitcoin is a different situation, right? You got to remember that the price of Bitcoin is 100% dependent on how many people want to speculate on it. There's no intrinsic value in it from a earnings perspective or anything. It's the only thing that it gives you is the ability to transact. And we know that they aren't doing it to transact with it because the transactions on the network, you're not seeing the money move around. So the only reason that they're buying it is for speculation. So then you've got to ask yourself how much more money can come in on this wave.
Air Cages says the thing with Bitcoin is if it's going to challenge 20K it's going to go much higher to emo.
It could be. But the point is still is that you're at a spot where a crash is basically inevitable. I thought I fixed that error. I want to fix this because I'm getting sick of where my histogram screws up. And the E-mini is beyond the point where I can really
Air
do
Cages
anything
says
with it.
crash or 100K Bitcoin. I like my odds.
I don't know if the upside is 100K, dude. did I not put it on this one? Okay.
Vlad Stolyarov says MSFT 223.2. Vlad Stolyarov says so far no bears BC, we had such a big gap in near or over most pre-market highs in tech.
I guess
Vlad Stolyarov says bears will wait their turn.
Here's the thing with Bitcoin. Just because something's going up doesn't mean that you have to be involved in it. Okay? If you have an edge that tells you that it's going to go further, then you have every reason to be involved. But if you don't, then you're just another one of the FOMO suckers.
I'm a diehard BTC moonboy, so I wouldn't take my own advice.
There you go. Right? And honestly, all I'm asking is, okay, what is the edge for getting into Bitcoin today? And I say there is none. That all the people that are getting into Bitcoin today are chasing. That's all. Yeah, well, the E-minis keep going here. I haven't really been seeing like a super great spot where I really want to get in.
Air Cages says I wouldn't buy today. No. Vlad Stolyarov says yeah, only for JPOW talk speculators.
Yeah. Well, I'm sure that I don't think it's JPOW. I think that there's like a couple of things. Like they have the momentum on their side, and then when the risk appetite in the markets in general increase, and then they decide to go into it. If there's any correlation that I see, it's that when risk appetites increase, people buy Bitcoin.
Air Cages says had plenty of buy opportunities between 10K 12K.
Yeah. Well, and I mean, like, yeah, a lot of like tests. So the thing is that they were way back here. You know,
Vlad Stolyarov says robots just buy BC MACD crossed up on daily.
In September, it was looking like pretty dire. I thought, okay, well, this is a spot where they could try. Now that you know, because before it wasn't like a collapse sort of a thing. It was like, well, they're overbought. I think that all it needs is a little bit of a push. Now it's like, dude, this thing is like a freaking house of cards waiting to happen.
Luis Alarid says Oregon hardcore drugs decriminalized. Buy meth stocks.
There you go. Meth stocks. I can't believe that they did that. Dude, all of the people out in the country are going to be... I don't think people understand. Do you think that you decriminalize drugs, that's like an inner city problem? No, it's not. That sort of stuff is a really big problem out in the rural areas. Same with the immigration. The people
Vlad
in the
Stolyarov
rural
says
areas
Oregon
are impacted
becomes
more.
First state to decriminalize hard drugs like heroin and cocaine.
Yeah, and watch it destroy their GDP. This is what's gonna happen. Of course, Peter Schiff is saying people should buy gold. So one there's Bitcoin and gold.
Vlad
It's like
Stolyarov
no matter what
says
happens.
A 2015 European drug report also found that Portugal's drug overdose death rate is 5 times lower than the European Union average. Vlad Stolyarov says Portugal decriminalized all drugs in 2001.
I just really hate like the advertising for investments. It's like, well, I got in on this thing and I want everybody else to get in on it too. That's a bad reason to get into something. You're late. Peter Schiff already long gold.
Ace Trades says if I had to speak Portuguese, I'd do drugs too.
Well, given that today is a slow day, FOMC day, E-mini at the seller break-even level, normally they tend to go through it, but because it's a range-bound day, this is a little bit more close to a level where we would expect to see a turn. Now they're not. What was the overnight high? Oh wait, 50. So that would be a little disappointing. They didn't break the overnight high. So
Luis Alarid says soybeans rising. Vlad Stolyarov says AAPL sitting near highs still. Air Cages says Peter Schiff has been telling people to sell Bitcoin and buy gold ever since BTC was at $100.
hasn't he been long Bitcoin too to some extent though? I don't know. But you're right. He's like a gold bug. I don't. It's just a lot like I'm always thinking the trade is to get in before Peter Schiff, right? That's really the game. If somebody is on the television talking about it, then you already missed the trade. James Carville says this election is not going to be particularly close. People need to know that Trump got beat. How can you say that it's not going to be particularly close? Okay. Okay, like I'm gaming out the numbers, and it looks like Joe Biden will win by 2 electoral votes. It's not close, guys. What an idiot!
Vlad Stolyarov says yeah.
I tell you what, James Carville is a smart guy, but he really does dumb
Vlad
things trying to
Stolyarov says
shill.
not close at all.
He says dumb things trying to shill for the Democrat Party.
Air Cages says I don't really see a lot of hype on Bitcoin right now. Seems people won't care until it breaks ATH.
Well, that might be true, Air Cages. And that's where I ask, why is it going up? Where's the money coming from? Because the money has to come from somewhere. And then you go and you look and it's, oh, hey, it's all coming from Tether. Which means it's loaned or it's big investors. And who, you know, they're going to try and dump it on you. How many times has this freaking happened on people before they figure it out? But the allure, it's too much. Okay, so that turn was a pretty good downturn, but I didn't touch the overnight high. I'm not 100% convinced myself that it's over. Hmm. You know, I'm going to take a break. I need to use the bathroom, get some water. I'll be right back. Oh, of course I missed it. Oh, that's unfortunate, but. Mm-hmm.
Air Cages says Seth just ran off to the nearest BTC ATM. Air Cages says FOMO.
It kind of sucks that I missed that, huh? I kind of knew that that was possible, though, but I was like, I don't think I can.
Vlad Stolyarov says 12,100 NQ tests soon.
Even if I had not left, I wouldn't have caught it. Look at the treasuries. Pushing down again. What do they think is going to happen?
Air Cages says real traders use P buckets. Vlad Stolyarov says TSLA more news 439.4.
Jeez.
Vlad Stolyarov says new high of day 440.
Okay.
Luis Alarid says Seth, can you explain the significance of Gov buying up the bank's mortgage debt? Heard that.
I hadn't heard that. I think I would need more information.
Vlad Stolyarov says own everything final solution.
Yeah.
Ango says Seth, how do we get your indicators?
You go to speculatorseth.com and become a member of the channel. If you're an elite member of the channel, and you download the indicators at speculatorseth.com. If you're not a elite subscriber, you can still try all of them for 2 weeks. So go and check it out. I'm going to make a video this weekend kind of walking you through them and what they do. So I haven't really promoted it yet.
Vlad Stolyarov says funny thing, after Bezos planned AMZN share sale, stock rallies 350 points and people don't believe it could. Rookie mistakes.
No, yeah, because that's a huge supply barrier removed. People. The thing was that I think that people were concerned that he was doing it because he thought something bad about the company, which I don't think was the case. Jason Miller tweeting that they had a massive legal victory in Philly just now, more to follow shortly. Dear future economic historians, do we start tallying the S&P 500 return in his presidency from election night or when the result is final. 4.2% already hangs in the balance. So asks Forex Live. That's hilarious. Okay, that one worked out. That's great. Let's see here. I had to take one or two little test ones that didn't work out to get it, but we're good. I think we can keep
Vlad
doing this.
Stolyarov
I
says
left my water.
NQ
I'm gonna
testing
get my water.
12,100 again. Vlad Stolyarov says probably goes parabolic. Now I want hold adhere short.
Trump won a Philadelphia lawsuit is the rumor press conference at 10:15. So in 5 minutes. Oh man, brace yourself. Brace yourself.
Air Cages says brace for what?
How do you spell Philadelphia? Is that 2 L's, right? Philadelphia? I'm just gonna say in Philly. Okay. Every vote is important. Also, election officials. We're stopping at 10:30 because we'll turn into pumpkins. Nah. That whole thing. And then they actually did keep any vote that came in after election day will not be counted.
Vlad
That's
Stolyarov
okay.
says
That
Donald,
is the
after election day
they
voting
won.
doesn't need to be counted. Algos react positively.
That's the move. That's the move. Yeah, we want this. I don't think that was Algos, to be honest. Is it too slow?
Vlad Stolyarov says I am gonna retweeted it for my history lesson.
Retweet it for your history lesson. Trading floor audio retweeting it. No, we might be too early to this game. Yeah. Is that not supposed to happen?
Vlad Stolyarov says AAPL pulled back to middle.
Treasury's coming back here. Georgia vote count will be finished by noon. That's not too far off. Not going to give me another chance to get in it. That's unfortunate. Let's go look at a few things.
Vlad Stolyarov says GC 1944. Vlad Stolyarov says that stop run was on purpose just like in oil under 1900 that day.
I don't know if it was on purpose. I can bet you a really big player was stopping out. Okay.
Air Cages says, are you trading sim?
Yeah, I'm trading sim right now. I could be trading it, but I'm gonna wait until all this election uncertainty is done before I do that. There's still 61,000 votes to count. What the hell? Okay, now why did they move on that? My nose itches like crazy. There's nothing in it. It just. I'm frustrated because I'm trying to catch a safe entry and it hasn't been working. So that one at 11.25 looks like it would be great but now, right? But it went so far against me.
Vlad Stolyarov says oil near highs to break out 239.2.
Keeps going. So you got to sit there and be like, okay, should I buy 18.25? Well, something's flipping there, so I don't know if I want to mess with that.
Vlad Stolyarov says, yeah, just watch VIX is sinking Titanic hit by iceberg. James Rice says intraday cycle failed. Vlad Stolyarov says once VIX stops sinking we can short.
Like
Vlad Stolyarov says martingale strategy.
Stop. Yeah. Well, on that last one, I really thought about just buying it in again, but I was like, no, I don't want to take the risk. I'll take it off here and then try and get back in here, and they just didn't come back and get me. So I missed it. It's okay. Man, they going. So I'm liking those pushes, but I just don't have the wherewithal to stick with one today, I guess.
Vlad Stolyarov says now they pushing their luck here.
Traders now repricing in much more QE. That might be what's going on. That's what Zero Hedge thinks. Well, I saw a spot up to 20. That's why it's like, yeah, especially with all those stops and stuff. Now, I never got a link to this press conference.
Vlad Stolyarov says NQ lagging behind didn't break out yet.
George Biden needs to win 65% of the remaining votes in Georgia to take the lead. Yeah, a little late on that one. Okay. Quite a bit of fight at 18 there. So I think that the market seems to be reacting that Joe Biden's not going to win Georgia, but I don't know if that's enough. Donald Trump has to win Pennsylvania. That's the one that I'm most uncertain about.
Vlad Stolyarov says TSLA came back to VWAP 433.
Hmm.
Vlad Stolyarov says JPM breaking out. Vlad Stolyarov says 103.92. Vlad Stolyarov says 105 ideally for bulls.
Hmm. He's saying Bitcoin's going to touch 1,500. It didn't already touch 1,500? Already is 1,500 on the futures, silly head. Congrats to those who bought Bitcoin at the high 3 years ago. You're only 26% away from break even. Man,
Vlad
I didn't
Stolyarov
feel
says
me.
NQ possibly lost Momo.
I guess I'm just being too conservative here, man. Jeez. Yeah, I'm definitely being way too conservative here. Shit. No.
Vlad Stolyarov says AMZN back to VWAP. Vlad Stolyarov says AAPL gave back a lot.
Yeah. I'm just not quite getting what I want to see. Crap. Oh, shouldn't have done that. You know. Just kidding. Okay. A little better. I don't know if I like being taken on a sweep like that. No. Uh, guess not. Guess not. We're just going to take the L on that. I guess we get the natural gas stocks here. Well, I'm not sure I understand all of that. They seem to really hate me.
Vlad Stolyarov says I do 12,100 potential resistance NQ. Vlad Stolyarov says and not having Momo to go up.
Well, it seems to me like some market makers have like pulled out of this area or something. So it's just moving a little bit too freely here.
Vlad Stolyarov says low prog activity according to HFT alert.
There's been like some really weird sweeps have kind of come through here though. There was that sweep down and it was like starting to trade really furiously, right? But then nothing happened. So I don't know. Stuff like that. It's like, what's going on? Okay.
Vlad Stolyarov says expect range maybe. Vlad Stolyarov says then gap fill if break low on NQ. Vlad Stolyarov says and the crowd's still buying. Vlad Stolyarov says and it doesn't matter technically.
Well, I just want to like all in on this. Like, it's making me frustrated. But then I'm like, well, why would I want to put on more risk here?
Vlad Stolyarov says lol. Vlad Stolyarov says martingale. Vlad Stolyarov says 2 ticks at a time.
Oh, I mean, like, I totally would like to just do that. Like, get rid of all these. Trump campaign just received a court order to allow his campaign to monitor ballot counting in Philadelphia. There we go. Great. Kind of ridiculous that we needed a court order for that to happen. But you know what? Cool. What was that? Okay, well, I feel a lot better about it now.
Ace Trades says what was that?
I don't know. Was like a pretty wild buy there all of a sudden, wasn't it? I don't think it was. I'm not sure if it was anything. It looks to me like you've just kind of got some market makers fighting with each other. But now that Miller's speaking, that might be moving them. Former Nevada Attorney General
Ace Trades says
Laxalt,
some
no
asshole
question.
HFT in Amsterdam.
No question, Trump would have won Nevada convincingly without mail-in voting. All right.
Ace Trades says I went long at 3,511.75 for no reason.
For no reason.
Vlad Stolyarov says our large caps bounced off VWAP.
Strangely enough, the volume, like the hardcore line. Well, I mean, that came in about 2000 in there, but it's not like new high. See, they're fighting it. Dang it. All right, well, let's hold off for a second because oh hell, why not? Right there.
Ace Trades says out.
See, they're just messing with us, dude. Stirring the pot. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yes, there is kind of a problem with what we've been looking for because we're like really close to that buyer's cost basis on the bottom side of it. And when we had that last move up, I didn't realize that we were going through the line. Ugh. Okay.
Vlad Stolyarov says watch out if pulls back. Vlad Stolyarov says UVXY rose a little.
Jobless claims dipped to 751,000, lowest since March. I didn't think that the jobless claims were all that spectacular, Don.
Vlad Stolyarov says maybe it's the 11 a.m. prep time.
Oh, what is Futures Trader 71 saying here? Remember scenario 2 from this morning, 35.22 is expected to be a tough area to break through, easing up on long bias until FOMC. This is not a recommendation to trade derivatives. Trading is not suitable for all investors. Gotcha. Morad. Well, it really is a slog in here, isn't it? Somehow I've been able to avoid the worst of it, but I took a lot of scratches there, didn't I? Now I'm wondering, is the 10-year gonna spike here?
Salam Jimmy says this is some of the best news trading I have ever seen. Outstanding evidence-based exists setups and mental focus little princess Seth. Pam Padam Padam.
What? You know what? This
Rob
is not
Farley
like
says,
good
"Is that a
news
new tech term?"
flow. The thing is so funny is that I had a good trade. Like the one that was really a good one that was based off of news, they came in and dashed us out before they went. That was really unfortunate. But it's okay. I've been relying a lot more on the order flow here than anything really. Okay. They gonna turn down? I think they want this 05 in the area down here is what they're trying to get
Rob
to.
MV3 Trader says typically on Fed days I only look for quick in and outs in the morning session. Volatility is usually saved for the afternoon FOMC events.
Yeah. Now I'm looking here. I did have one. There was that last one where I could have taken it and it didn't. Anyways, mistakes were made, but we're okay. It's not a disaster. Patrick, can anyone educate me on what's going on with treasuries? Why did we get the fierce rally yesterday, and why have we followed that up with a rather pathetic market today? I don't know. Well, there's still that 11 area. I don't know. So the thing is like when I look at the flow and everything, I think that in 10 to 9 would be okay buy. But I think that they're gonna try and cross that 3505 line. So I think I should just hold off for a little bit and wait for a better setup because I've been way too fickle on all of this. You know that Lamar looks great though. Okay. Okay. One pivot.
Vlad Stolyarov says silly market come higher.
You talking about Bitcoin? Yeah, Bitcoin's going pretty good, dude. It's still going. They're getting the volume over there in Bitcoin too.
Vlad Stolyarov says we gonna play highs and lows.
I'm honestly thinking about shorting it here. Because I'm still looking at that '05 and I'm like, well, they must want it because they are doing battle there. Axios, the Biden agenda would be severely restricted by GOP control. It's true. So they did decide to cross the divide. You might get a better trade over here. Too slow. Once again.
Salam Jimmy says humanly impossible to trade a slow flow with numerical order flow.
I don't know if it's humanly impossible. It depends on what you're trying to do, right? These guys all must be looking at a different exchange because the futures are already above 1500. It is, as time goes on, it's getting more and more random. Oh, whoa. Stephen Moore on odds of a stimulus deal in a lame duck. If Trump loses, Trump does not want the last thing he does in office to be a $2 trillion debt spending bill. We want Biden to own that, not Trump. If Trump loses, no stimulus deal until Biden becomes president. That matters.
Vlad Stolyarov says it's gonna take it a while. I am just gonna eat breakfast.
They're not going to fill that, no way. That easy? That easy? Okay. Okay. In the battleground state of Georgia, with 96% of the estimated vote tallied so far, Trump has a 49.6%, and Biden has 49.2% of the vote, says Edison Research. It's like Trump just came in and like gave the market a reason to care. Hmm. Hmm. Treasury falling through there really easily. Oh, Biden's going to speak here in 2 minutes? Oh, jeez. Okay. Hmm. Something weird going on in the 10-year there for sure. I guess I might just be wrong on that one. Hmm. Okay, well, it wasn't crazy at least. Stupid, maybe, but not crazy.
Vlad Stolyarov says I am still eating just like BTC USD still over 15k. Salam Jimmy says why are your trades always exposed to too much time risk?
I don't know if this is... Well, so hold on. You're saying that it's exposed to too much time risk. That sounds to me like that's your way of trading and not necessarily my way of trading. We've only been in this trade for fucking 5 minutes. If that's too much time risk, then you trade different from me. Good for you. But I wouldn't come in and just assume that there's like one way of trading and that if I don't do it the way that you do it, that it's wrong. Now, if you have some sort of data or something that would prove to me that I should be getting out of those sooner, then let's hear it. Hmm.
Ace
Now over
Trade
here
says
in
at
the
Salam
evening,
Jimmy what is time risk?
well, he's saying that you're in the trades for too long, that you should just take the profit, basically. Okay, cool. Got that pick really good. I like that. I was a little bit nervous about taking the risk on that one for just a little bit, but now I'm glad that I took it, right?
Ace Trade says and who defines what is too long to be in a trade?
Apparently, according to him,
James
that's
Rice
too
says
long.
at Salam Jimmy sounds like you don't how to plan your entries.
The thing is I might be a little deceptive to him too, right? Because it's been a slow day, and so I've taken a lot of trades where I scratched it a lot and haven't been in it for very long. When normally I'm
Salam Jimmy
very
says time is
much trying
relative.
to swing it.
Price volatility and time are uncorrelated. Volatility is low now. Those 5 minutes in price time are an eternity.
Mm. But I have a spot that I'd like to see it go to. So in this instance, I'm okay with holding on to it for a while to see it go there. And I have a pretty good chance of getting it, actually. Believe it or not. We can just keep this going right here. Oh, they're fighting it. They know. They know. Them buyers are on the ropes. Okay. Good. Interesting that the Treasury and the minis seem to be moving in tandem again. Also, if 5 minutes isn't eternity, then don't trade treasuries. Don't trade the treasuries if that's too long for you. Let me guess. You trade NQ. Oh wow, that's interesting. It's like they just waited for the bar to close and then they came in and sold it hard. Oops.
Salam Jimmy says 100% NQ.
Mm-hmm. I think I know what's going on here. Do you smell what I smell? Uzi's probably still not here. Hmm. 4K at 29.5. Big league win in Pennsylvania, tweets Donald Trump. We already had that rally, though.
Ace Trades says at Salam Jimmy agreed they are uncorrelated. So what then is time risk then?
Nah, see, this is just our old friend Salim. Can't stay away. That's what's really going on here, isn't it?
Jonathan says, hey, what is that chart in the bottom middle?
The one in the bottom middle is the Jigsaw Vista chart. So yeah, it's fun, but what it's showing you, the colors in the background is showing you liquidity. So the brighter it is, the more liquidity there is at that level at that time. So we can kind of go down in the history and we can say, okay, so there was some liquidity, they went through it, and then they reversed. Pretty tight.
Salam Jimmy says Salim is Salam, same name.
Mm-hmm. Why can't you just go away? I don't understand. I guess when that guy showed the big order at 29.5 that I should have canceled that one. So lesson learned. Okay. So as I watch this, I'm thinking, no, it shouldn't require all of that clicking and pushing. All right. Well, I wanted a little bit more from that.
Salam Jimmy says at ACE trades time risk is when you have a trader stop loss and there no volatility and you stay in a trade for too long. Ace Trades says, well, I for one welcome our Salam friend who trades the NQ like a bandit and talks about time risk and then doesn't explain it.
Oh,
Salim
could have
equals
held.
Salam
I
equals
could have
salami.
held. I could have held. Did you see? So there was one stop run, and I was like,
Rice
okay.
says short-term cycle reestablished.
And then I got out, and they did the stop again.
Ace Trades says at Salam Jimmy, and how do you decide if you are in a trade too long?
That's it right there. You could we could reverse here again if we wanted to, but I don't think you want to reverse this. In fact, we might see 34.96. At the moment, I'm not really willing to put the risk on though. I made $50. I come out on the day $50 in the end after, dicing myself up with the commissions. I liked that trade. The reason I took it was because of that tweet where I saw that it doesn't look like Donald Trump is going to do a
Jimmy says at ACE trades
deal.
if it doesn't go your way in a few seconds.
Sure. See, the thing is if when I get into a position, at least lately, I want to see some confirmation that like people are getting in after me as soon as I get in, like I get in and then, I like to see that little push. It pushes it beyond you and then it goes, once it's done that though, and I have some positive excursion, especially if I have good positioning and news to back up my trade, I don't want to get out of it. If the only reason that I got in was the flow, then sure, I guess if I see really anything going the other way, I kind of get out. But in that case, we were overextended on the long. We were overextended on the standard deviation. Sorry, let me rephrase that. We were overextended on positioning. We were overextended on standard deviation of price. And we had a bad news headline coming out that even though the market didn't react to it right away, I think will eventually push the market down, which is that we are not going to get a deal until Joe Biden presidency if Joe Biden wins. The president isn't going to sign a deal, add a bunch of trillions onto the debt and then leave office. So that's a big deal. And that's why I took it. Why don't you trail? Because trailing tends to reduce your profits. It does. I've done a lot of studies on this. It tends to reduce your profit. Anyways. I'm not like 100% sure that it's him, but I'm done with that. So yes, Jonathan, there is a monthly fee with Jigsaw if you want to execute on their platform. It is 50. Is that right? Which seems bad, but in comparison, it's actually not like the worst thing. Now, for Jigsaw on the thing, there's two things. One is if you buy a year, you get a discount, right? But two is that you often get deals at the end of the year, especially if you're brand new. So there you might get one where it's like $400 for a year or something like that around Christmas. So if you're thinking about getting into Jigsaw, I would maybe think about doing it, around Christmas and waiting for those deals and follow the Twitter account and all that stuff. Mm-hmm. So on demo, I just follow Momo. It's the only way to trade this market right now. Well, it's got to be a little bit more than that, but yeah. It's like, how do you... The problem is, if there's going to be momentum, but you don't want to be the last one to buy it. So you know what? When I took that trade earlier in the ZN, wasn't a bad. I mean, obviously it didn't work, but I definitely had seen something about that area that was interesting. So, but it turns out that they want to sell it. So, makes you wonder what is going to be the FOMC today. So I was just thinking about the license. I was like, so if I don't want to pay for the license, what's my best option? Well, we could come over and we could do it in Rhythmic Trader Pro. Brandon says you're using a Bollinger Band with a standard deviation of 3. Yeah. No, it's been working really well. Here, let me show you mine. So I'm using the Lizard Indicators Bollinger Band, which I really like. I don't know if you can see it with the compression, but I just have them as slightly different shades of gray. But I put 2 Bollinger Bands on there. So that one's your standard 2.51, I believe. And then I've got this one is actually 4. Probably 3 would be a little bit better for giving you like the exact price. But I don't really care about the exact price. What I'm looking for is, okay, so if there are overextended on the price, on standard deviation of price, and then I come over and I look at my DOM and I'm looking at what they're doing there. And if I see it slow down and then get sticky in a price and I take it, and then I should see some volume come in the other way, and then we're good. And then, should be able to just let it ride. But I also have this right here, right? This matters more. Right? Like I knew, okay, range bound day. This was news right here. So that's cool. This is going to come back. But then it was tight in here. So I said, okay, we're above the line. We're above the deviation. I should be able to short this back to here, and what do you know? It went. And in fact, it not only did it go, but you saw somebody forcing stop runs down there. And he forced one stop run and I got out, and then he came in and he did it again. So, man, if anything tells you that I must not be the only one that has this line, well, it could be that was where he had a position, and so he just knows. He may just know because he was long to begin with. But I'm telling you, it's not just when I did all this and I did all the math, I was like, it might just make random lines, and then you watch it, and then maybe you think you see a correlation and you don't. But when you see stuff like that happen in that area so often and so early predicted, there's definitely something to it. I think Brendan says, I like that. I didn't think of, yeah, there you go. Because then you just get a really good idea of where it actually is. And I don't draw the line on there, because then you're like looking for a specific price and you can't really see it. But this one I can just see, okay, it's there. It's in this gray area. That means that there's a good chance it's going to turn, right? I guess Biden's campaign manager is still talking. What else was I thinking? Okinawa, Yutaka, how much are you up today? I ended up with 50 in the micros. I only took that one trade in the ZN, and those are on different accounts. So that one was just an experiment, and turned out that I did see something there in that area, but that the trend was down. So I'm wondering what the treasuries are doing here. They must think that the FOMC is not going to be as accommodative as they want. They must think, because I mean, that's a pretty aggressive down move so far. You think? And look, it wasn't even like they just fell. They pushed through it with volume. So I tell you something. Anyways, oh, I know what I was going to say. To Brandon, to your point about the DOM is superior to actually figuring out when to enter. What I'm realizing is that the market is a really big and complicated monster, and if you're just looking at one individual thing and trying to make all of your decisions off of that you're going to miss so much else going on, and it's really hard. But if you're trying to watch the market as a whole and you see everything in the market lining up just right, then you can get these really high probability trades that run so well. And that's how I'm just able to somehow pull it out every day in the end, despite all of my stupidity. Is because I'll catch the one where the positioning and the price deviation and the order flow and the news are all saying reverse this, and it reverses. All of the recent Biden claimed states will be legally challenged by us for voter fraud and state election fraud. Plenty of proof. Just check out the media. We will win America first, says Donald Trump. Biden campaign at this stage, Georgia leads to Biden? I don't think so. I don't think so. They shouldn't have said that, because if they declare Georgia for Donald Trump here in 30 minutes, then they're going to look awfully dumb. Our data shows. Okay. Well, I tell you what, guys, it's probably a good point for me to stop since I don't see many new questions. Pushed to 173.25 in ZB. Yeah, it's so strong. Well, you think that they're going to go all the way to there? I really wish I knew how you guys figured those out, but you might be right. Yeah, I mean, I guess it's within yesterday's range and everything. It's interesting. But I just question, we had this huge move up yesterday and a huge move up overnight. And now that whole move has retraced. No news coming out. We just know that there's the FOMC. So it really makes you wonder what the bonds are expecting for FOMC, doesn't it? And I'm kind of wondering if they're saying, I made this point earlier, but everybody expects there to be more stimulus. But how do you justify buying corporate bonds when we're just off of all-time highs? Like the more that you pump into it, the bigger of a problem you make. And so I almost feel like there comes a point at which you need to understimulate the economy a little bit just to get the valuations back in line and wait until we're undervalued, and then you want to step back in. Otherwise, you're just wasting money, right? At least that's my thinking on it. I don't know if that's the way that the Federal Reserve thinks about it, but I guess we'll find out later today what they're actually going to do. Or if what we're getting has more to do with the election. I don't know. And like I said, I took that trade off of, it sounds like we're not going to get stimulus until, February. Well, I don't think that the market reacted to that, and that's why it turned down, but that is why I got in. Okay. Thank you, guys. Good day. If you're new, make sure that you click that subscribe button and click the bell icon, because the bell icon will give you notifications when we go live. So if you want to join us, and I tell you what, these guys are here every day. Vlad, he talks a lot, and I know some people find that annoying, but I appreciate you, Vlad. And you know when to tone it down and when not to, so you're great. And he's here every day. Every day. So click that bell icon. And, make sure you click the like button, too. The like button helps a lot. So I will see you guys. Actually, I'm going to see you later today because we're going to come back and watch the FOMC. So I will see you guys about 5 minutes before the FOMC meeting. But in the meantime, stay profitable, friends.